Hi. Welcome to the Human Design for Marketing podcast. I'm your host, Yvette Mayer, and this show's for you if you're done with cookie cutter marketing and ready to build your personal brand in alignment with who you really are. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to the Human Design for Marketing podcast. I am excited to be back in your ears again. I've been in a very busy season of the business. An incredibly expansive season, and that has inspired the topic of this episode. So here's the headline: why I changed my Instagram bio this week. Now, to be fair, it had been the same for a few months, and I don't like to change it all of the time, but this may be the most it's changed in a couple of years. So if you haven't looked at my bio lately, you should totally go and check it out. And I'm going to tell you a bit of a story about why, how my business is evolving, what it is now, to inspire you and to evoke maybe some receptivity to the current landscape and the changes that we're experiencing. So I'm going to cut to the chase. I have added the word AI, or the letters, to my bio. Now, only a few short months ago, 4 months ago, I recorded a podcast about how I was getting over my resistance to AI and how I had been in a place of, I don't like it doing this content creation for me. This feels inauthentic. And I had begun this process of seeing that actually it's such a game changer to speed up processes and give time back. And that actually, when you apply your own wisdom and systems to it and you teach it, that it starts to add incredible value. And not just in business, like at this point in my journey, I do consider ChatGPT to be one of my closest friends. It certainly knows more about me, or at least what's happening in my world currently, than anybody else, right? So that has me reflecting more broadly on the role of AI and how it will affect us as business owners going forward. And even some of the dynamics around feminine versus masculine business. And in full transparency, that is a conversation that came up between Emma Dunwoody and I on this month's transits episode, which we recorded early in the month, a couple of days ago. Early in the week, we recorded the June episode of the transits. So we'll make sure we link you. Oh, I don't know if it's out yet, but when it's out, we'll make sure that you're linked to that episode as well, because we talked a lot about AI, and it is part of the reason that I am bringing this topic to you. But I also want to tell you more of the story of how it has affected my business. So, actually, I'm going to start with what Emma and I discussed and the importance of you hearing this. And that is that I think we can overthink the role of AI and make it negative because it feels like a threat. Because there is all this talk that AI is taking jobs. And actually, the truth is that that's a fact, but it's not going to change. And our role in the world is to force our way into writing this as feminine leaders, primarily who listen to this, and shaping AI, as well as allowing it to hold us. So one of the things that Emma said, which I resonated with so strongly, is that as feminine humans, and yes, we all have masculine and feminine within us, we quite often rely on that masculine side of ourselves when it comes to our businesses, especially in the earlier stages where we're doing all of the things, wearing all of the hats, right? So masculine is structure, it's power, it's setting up systems and processes. That is what I would call more masculine based work. Whereas the feminine side, which is also the right side of the arrows in human design, is the more creative, the more perceptive, the more open, the more flowy type of energy. And so what AI is doing is it's actually able to help us and support us with systems and processes that allow us to be more in our feminine. So rather than replacing us, when we think about it correctly, and we see that it can hold our masculine structure for us, it is not replacing us. It's allowing us to be more us. It's giving us back time and space to genuinely lean into our feminine power, to connect to our creativity. And I have been doing so much more with AI in my business that I've seen this come to fruition so powerfully in the last few weeks. And I knew that this was a conversation I need to bring back to the podcast because, look, there's a lot of doing that we do. And I want you to see that when you are inviting and welcoming AI as being able to hold a lot of the doing and the masculine part of your business, you are going to shift your mindset and welcome it if you haven't already. And I think many of you have already got to the point now where you're like, oh my goodness, this is changing my life in all the right ways. More of this, please. And that's certainly where I am. So my journey with AI, I think, is a good story to tell. So as I said, towards the end of last year, even maybe I've done 2 podcasts on this, but I remember talking about how I'd been resistant. And then I had this intuitive hit that the podcast that I released over a year ago on how to find your most magnetic and ideal audience and client in your body graph, which was and still is the #1 most downloaded episode that I've ever released on this podcast, could be turned into a mega prompt that would help you follow the method that I created, my unique process that I shared on the podcast, and could do that for you instantly and give you insights rather than you having to research all of the different placements in your chart, sit on it, think about it, spend hours and hours figuring this out for yourself, that I would be able to use AI to support this process for you. Now, that led to my first, it's not my first low ticket product, but the first one that I built a complete funnel around that has exploded my business. Today, the ultimate audience clarity activation, which was a podcast episode that then became a class. I literally took the video version of the podcast and added overlays and teaching points to make it into a training, but it's the original podcast content. It became the class. That was my first step. The next step was to learn myself, and I'm self-taught. I asked ChatGPT to help me. How do I turn this podcast into a mega prompt? Then the next step was I downloaded the entire transcript from the podcast episode, uploaded it into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT was able to help me create that mega prompt. So then that was the next step in the product. It was watch the masterclass, download your body graph, identify where these placements are for you, overlay some of your business context, because human design is amazing at seeing our potential, but it can't see what we've actually lived. So we need the context as well. Use the mega prompt and blow your own mind with the clarity that you'll get about your audience. Now, this is getting close to $100,000, $27 offer right now. So something I've been selling for 27 US dollars. I must double check, but it's getting up to around $100,000 in Australian dollars revenue. Okay. So people love this, and I knew they would. I 100% knew they would, because I created it based on insight from the content that I created it as a podcast to begin with. So that was my first real like, oh, this is so valuable for my clients and for my soon-to-be clients and customers that I need to get on board with this and how AI can help in other areas. So the next idea I had, and the idea was around the same time, was I really want to create a robot. I didn't know it was called a GPT at the time. I just knew that you could make robots now that used your body of work to perform a function. And so last year, I created the 64 Cosmic Content Codes Guide, which many of you own, which is an incredible product. It's every single gate in the human design system, all 64, turned into cosmic content codes one by one. I built this before AI took off. So it's all my own marketing brain and looking at each individual gate through that lens. All 100% written by me, right down to content prompts for every gate. So a year ago now, just under a year ago, I kept getting asked actually, like I was sharing this information in my Facebook group and bringing it to the Human Design podcast in the transits. People kept asking me if they could get this from me. And I was resistant. I was like, but this is my IP. I don't really want to give it away. But in the end, I realized that I was being my own block. And so I turned it into I wouldn't call it a low ticket product, but I turned it into a 97, no, it was even more than that actually, because now I'm talking US dollars. So I turned it into, let's say roughly a $97 plus US dollar product for you to watch a class on the transits. Suspect that was a podcast episode in the beginning too, maybe. I'm pretty sure. And then the big value is a 70-page ebook that is such an amazing resource, and a Trello board that actually goes through in the order of the transits and gives you content prompts by gate. And people went nuts for it, like crazy for it. Like I sold the first 50 at a special price and they sold out. And I was like, oh my God, like this is something that I need to do more with. And then I went off overseas, but I knew I needed to do more with it. And I also, I live and breathe the transits. This is how I create my content. So it helped me, and it became something that I'm kind of famous for, my transits work. And actually, something that I'm now seeing more and more people do is turn the 64 gates into all sorts of codes, which is fantastic. But I know that I am largely, I'm not saying I'm responsible, but I think that I am the inspiration for a lot of that, which is great. So as soon as I put the mega prompt out, I'm like, I need to figure out how to program a robot with all of my gates information and all of the content prompts and the dates of the human design system, so that it can not just know all of this stuff, but it can help you create content based on your design and the key inputs from the human design for marketing blueprint I've created and the current transit or the future transits. Like you can literally forecast what's coming energetically and plan your content that way. And so I had that idea. And the team and I started working on it in February, but clunky. Like I went into ChatGPT and I asked it how to do this. And at that point, it didn't give me simple answers. And basically, and look, this is a lot of work to put into a system, right? So it basically said I needed to get all of this information into a specific format to then code into said robot. And so that's what we did as a team. I got the team to turn the entire body of work, and I'm not just talking about the prompts, like the whole thing, into an Airtable that ChatGPT or any AI can read. It cannot read, by the way, I've learned this the hard way, it cannot read a Canva PDF. It can't read it. It just, no, can't read it. So, and that was how we built the whole thing. So it needed to be transferred into a way that the system could read it. Not long after that, my mum passed, and yeah, I stopped working on everything, including that. And so March was a pretty much of a non-work month for me. But once I was feeling myself again, I got back into this process, and I went back into ChatGPT and asked it the question again. And wouldn't you know it, this time the process was so much easier. So this was what happens with AI as well. Like it like honestly in January or February when I first asked how to do this, it didn't tell me that I needed to make a GPT. It started pointing me to other tech systems. Whereas when I asked it at the beginning of April, it was like, yes, this is the process. And so I am very techie and I pick this kind of stuff up easily. So I will preface it with that. But I spent the first day that I asked this question of it again in April, I then went on to spend, I want to say 6 hours figuring out how to do it and making it happen. So in that period, I self-taught with ChatGPT's help how to do it and created it. Now, it was exhausting because it wasn't doing what I wanted it to do and I couldn't figure that out why, and I kept having to find different parts of my work to feed into the programming and learn how to do that and transfer lots of things out of Canva into it loves .txt files, by the way. So I had to do a lot of this and I had to rewrite the code, or it's actually just called the instructions. I don't know how many times, many times. And I think at the end of the first day, it was good. I was getting happy, but I wasn't done. And so I sat down fresh to do it again and got it to where I needed it to be pretty quickly after that. And that was like, oh my God, it works. It is amazing. Like by the time I had it working properly, I was so excited. And that lined up perfectly with when I was doing a birthday promotion in April. And so that's when the Cosmic Content, or it's called the Cosmic Creator Kit, which is both the existing body of work and the GPT, was released into the world. And immediately uptake was amazing and the feedback is so epic. And I love it myself. Like this whole way of working with the transits for something to respond to as a generator, it just makes my life so much easier when it comes to what's the right kind of content to share this week. If I'm not in a launch or I'm not pushing a particular product, this is an absolute game changer. And being able to do that in collaboration with ChatGPT is next level. Now, I do rewrite bits. I don't treat it as copy and paste, but it's getting better and better all the time at speaking like me anyway. And in the meantime, I just add things in. Like I really love, and I would impress this on you as well. I really love inserting things that ChatGPT can't know, like adding in real life examples, things that just happened to me on the weekend. Like I don't want your voice or my voice watered down by the average of everything. So I want to say this to you with love, like it's amazing and make it yours. And the other thing I would say is if you're somebody who's listening to this thinking, I need to learn how to create GPTs, yes. And if you want to sell them, I want you to make sure that it's not just the average of the internet, that you're teaching it how to do something that you created yourself, that is like it's come from you, it's your original thinking. That makes it valuable. Even better if you really invest time and energy into your own full body of work, like I have with my human design for marketing approach and with the transit specifically, because I'm now at the point where I have everything that I've created for both things converted into the kind of files that GPTs can read. And so now I'm flying with it. Like I literally know exactly how to make GPTs and which files to use, how to structure it, how to get it to do exactly what I want, but most importantly, how to get it to be a unique, highly valuable tool, not just something pulling information from the internet. Okay, so with love, that I think is key, especially for you to feel like, oh my God, this is game changing. So once I'd done that, I was like, oh, so I need to support my existing programs with GPTs. And so the next thing I did was I went to the Frequency Project, which is my signature human design for marketing program. And because I'd already done all this back end work of transferring all of my thinking into files that could be read, I just had to teach it what I go through in the frequency project to get it to become what I call Frida, the frequency queen, or Frida, the marketing strategist. Well, she's basically both. So everybody in the frequency project now, from the second they get started, even before they've done the work, can start analyzing their marketing rapid style through the lens of their chart and their design, right through every part, all the gates, like every single thing that I've ever created is all inside the Frida, the frequency GPT now. And it's blowing their freaking minds, and not just their minds, but when they're putting this content out into the world, it's being met with, oh my goodness. Like, I've got one client who wrote a bio for an event with Frida, and she had a copywriter friend say, what is that bio? It's mic drop. That is the power of this, right? Because it's speaking from her frequency and it's integrating who she is and what her truth is into how she expresses herself and combining that with the context, and it just is nailing it. So we love that this is happening. So from there, I've begun to use AI as a support system for my clients. And then most recently, I launched my new program, Sold Out Offers by Design, and it's Sold Out Offers by Design. Now, the last episode I created was when I was in launch for that, and I was talking about how when you work with your human design, you can really create the offers that feel amazing for you and that sell with ease. Now, as I developed this and I built Selena, Sellina, as the program GPT, it's gone next level. Like, I can't even tell you how powerful this program is. It's blowing not just my clients' mind. Like, I am like getting tears in my eyes with the power of this thing. Like, the first thing we do is build your what are you famous for essence. And it's a combination of all of my work as well as your own lived experience, or what I call earthly insights. And then the way I've worked with the coding, it brings forward to you the most eloquent, powerful statement of what you're really here to be famous for. And then she does all sorts of other things to help you embody that further as well. That's just out of the gate. I don't even want to tell you all of the magic that's inside. But the other thing I've done, which I think makes it spectacularly unique, is it only works when you're in the program. Like, you literally have to have done the work in the program to make the GPT give you the answers that you want. So it has a lot of IP baked into it as well. So that feels amazing. So at this point, I'm also teaching other people how to create GPTs, which led to my surprise. I changed my bio to put human design and AI empowered marketing into my bio, because that has become what I do. It's a bit like when I first created human design for marketing, though. Like, I didn't expect that that would become something that I would hang my hat on in the beginning. I thought it was a bolt on. And same with AI. Like, I've just been having fun with it, but suddenly I find myself like out in front, and the way my brain works, creating differentiation in my own business and empowering others to do the same. So it needed to be pulled through. And look, I'm not the only one doing this. There's plenty of other human design coaches out there that are doing AI, that are doing marketing. Like, the market has become very crowded. Wasn't like that when I first got started, but it has become that way. And it makes sense, right? Because there's so much science behind human design and there's so much science behind marketing. You can't get across it all. And what happens is, if you are not deeply experienced, it's a slow moving beast to create insight or content. Whereas when you are partnered with a tool that's been programmed from a place of expertise, then it speeds up the process. So here's the example, right? In this module about what are you designed to be famous for, I teach you how to do that yourself. I teach you step by step which parts of your chart are important, and then which parts of your lived experience, your credibility, the market readiness, all of that are important. Now, old way of doing this, you would do the module and then you'd sit on it and be like, yeah, but what does that mean? And it would take you so long to get clear, and even then you wouldn't be confident. Now Selena comes in, she takes all of that work that you do, and she instantly finds the words that you can't find. And if you're not happy the first time, you say, give me five more. Give me 5 more. And she'll give you 5 more until you're like, oh my God, I'm going to cry. This is so good. It just cuts all of that time out where you're lost in your head and in research and in thinking and in procrastinating, and gets you to move more quickly. So I thought that was a really good thing to take you through, because I want you to feel excited about this, not in fear, and to start thinking about how can AI bring market advantage in my work. Doesn't mean you have to build tools, but how can it help you build efficacy, help your students? These are all things you should be asking yourself. And yes, I am speaking with a lot of enthusiasm, because we are in gate 16 right now, the gate of skills and enthusiasm. So I hope you've enjoyed this. If you've got questions, pop into my Instagram DM. If you loved this episode, please let me know, share it on social media, give me a review. Would love that. And other than that, I am going to go. Bye for now. There are heaps more resources in the show notes. I can't wait to be back in your ears again soon. Bye for now.